I like sport mode very much. Transmission feels good. Shifts are precise. Ooh, we're gonna go all the way to second for this one. Yeah! So good. I always think that nowadays we have sport mode in many modern cars, and you can put it in sport mode and know that that's really how they wanted the car to drive. You know, they got to put normal mode in there for other reasons. That's not how they want it to drive. They want it to drive like sport mode, and I do too. Hey everyone, welcome back to Drive It Out. My name is Adam, and today I am very excited to show you the brand new 2025 Mazda CX-70. Now, I have had this car for a week and I've got to do a lot of different types of driving in it, and I am really stoked to share with you the experiences that I've had. But before we get into those details, I will let you know this is a 3.3 liter inline six premium plus. That's right, it's a turbo S premium plus, and I have been very excited to drive this car for a while. It's finally here, and I got it in this beautiful polymetal gray metallic. That's right, it looks kind of like a shark blue. It's proud of what it is. It wears its heart right on its sleeve right here, and I am so excited to tell you guys about it. Come along, let's go for a drive, and we're going to talk about the details. All right, everyone. It is a beautiful day here in the Midwest, and it's a good day for driving. So if you guys are used to watching our in-depth reviews or our car comparisons, we typically save the driving impressions for the end. I go through the specs and everything first, and we look at the interior and talk about all the stuff you're going to get. But I wanted to do the driving first because this car is great to drive. Now, I want to talk about what you typically get in an SUV, a bigger SUV. You know, you're driving a big SUV, you know that it's going to be big and cushy and comfortable and fit all your stuff. That's kind of a given sometimes. But what about when you are in a need, when you have to hustle the vehicle, right? Let's just say you're late to the airport and there's a bunch of curvy fun roads between you and getting on your airplane. You know, you're in your big SUV. I tell you what, if you have a typical large mid-size SUV, you are going to be thinking about kind of controlling the vehicle in a way where you're keeping it away from its edges, because when you get a typical SUV close to its edges, it starts to fall apart, right? Those ends of the driving dynamics on that vehicle are pretty sloppy and can be hard to identify and feel, frankly. But Mazda is not going to give you that. Mazda is going to, no matter what vehicle you're in, do their best to give you some feedback and some feel in the driving experience. And what that is good for is control and confidence. Confidence behind the wheel is huge. Oh, the inline six under the hood, we're going to talk about that later, but it's quite good, and it sounds really good as well when you're getting after it. So this is not a sports car. I would never say it was a sports car. This thing is meant to tow your sports car. This is one of those intersections you pull out and you kind of need to get on it. Yep, and sure enough, as soon as I turned out, a vehicle popped up over that hill, but I was safely in front of him because I was ready for that hill. I know this area, and I was not afraid to get out and get on it in this car because it's got good power. This is the most powerful way that you can get the CX-70. We're working with 340 horsepower here, and it feels quite good. The power delivery is very smooth. This is what I'm talking about when talking about what the vehicle is like to drive. You can get in any vehicle and operate it, and it goes where you want it to go. You point the nose where you want it to go. But is it enjoyable? Can you feel what's going on into your tires? Now, modern cars are quite a bit more numb than cars used to be, but for modern vehicles, the best way to get feel, honestly, is just to get in a Mazda. Now, again, if you're in a sports car, that's a lot of feel. You're getting all of the talking from the tires and the transmission and the engine, and you're feeling everything, and that's great in a sports car. You do want a level of comfort in your SUV for you and the family, and you're going to get that here, but they have a way of communicating to the driver at the same time so that you can feel confident in what you're doing. Now, I'm out here on some back roads right now, but I've had this on the highway at high speed, and I've gone around town in it at in-town speeds, and I've been on the back roads, and the vehicle excels at all of these things. And this is what I'm talking about. If you get your typical mid-size SUV, it's going to tolerate all of those things, but it may not be great at all of those things. And if you are looking for an SUV that can also be good on a back road, this is something you need to test drive. Hands down, between $40,000 and $60,000, if you need an SUV that seats 5 people, or you can jump to the CX-70 and you can seat up to 8, but you still want to haul all the family and have a good time behind the wheel and not feel like you're in a penalty box, I don't know why you have not looked at the CX-70 already. Now, you may be thinking, that was interesting. I've had my hands on the wheel the whole time and it just yelled at me to have my hands on the wheel. Interesting. You may be thinking now, I'm looking for a luxury SUV, and you typically start thinking about your typical luxury brands. Well, Mazda has done a good job of stepping up its game in the last decade. Not only is this vehicle good to drive, it's very nice inside. The quality of the materials in here are great. When you look out over this beautiful two-tone steering wheel, this is the first two-tone steering wheel from the factory that I've ever driven. You know, you can do all kinds of crazy things in the aftermarket, but from the factory, a two-tone steering wheel is a bold move, and they've executed very well here. I have spent many hours in this car in the past week, and I never have once felt uncomfortable. The longest stint was 2.5 hours at a time. 2.5 hours is a long time to sit in one place, and it was great. My back didn't hurt, my legs didn't hurt, none of that. I like the location of the dead pedal so I can rest my left foot where I want to, and whether I was in cruise control or out of cruise control, it was easy for me to find a comfortable position. Yes, we have the dial here in the middle. That's very natural for me to go to while keeping my eyes on the road. Some people do not like the dial in the middle. I very, very much like it. It's not just because I've gotten used to it the last few months that we've owned our brand new CX-5, but I've always been intrigued by it. I've liked it in the past when I've gotten in Mazdas because I love having texture at my fingertips anytime that I can. You know, I was in another new vehicle recently from another brand, and the whole thing was just a big giant screen in the middle, a portrait layout of a screen, and it's great for functionality. It has lots of functions, lots of options, but I tell you what, I have to look at my fingers every time I'm going to adjust something. And you can reach and have a quick glance down to what you're looking to touch on a touchscreen with your finger, and as you push it or you need to tap it a bunch of times or hold your finger on it, you tend to glance back down to make sure you're still on it and you're still touching the right thing. These are the types of things that Mazda is trying to get you to avoid as a driver. They want you to be able to reach, feel those buttons, memorize them by texture or touch, and have good feedback when you hit them. If you need to hit something multiple times, like running your temperature up and down, or adjusting your fan speed, or adjusting climate control for the people in the rear, whatever it is, adjust it while your eyes stay up. This is big for me, and this is why the driving experience in modern Mazdas speaks to me. Because if you guys have watched videos in the past, you understand and you know that I care a lot about the driver being able to pay attention. You know, cars are getting smarter these days. Having so much technology in them, they can do so much, they can see much. Even this car has amazing safety features. Whether I'm driving at speed, whether I'm in a parking lot going in reverse, this vehicle has great eyes, and I've really appreciated that about this vehicle. But I also know that the quickest way to a safer experience in a car is by upgrading the driver. It's by increasing the safety and awareness within the driver themselves. A vehicle with a driver that is well-trained, well-focused, and well-rested is an extremely safe vehicle to be in. So Mazda, while they have put amazing safety features on this vehicle that do a great job of assisting you, they also remember that the driver can drive in a very focused manner, be very confident in what they're doing, and they provide ways and open avenues for you as a driver to continue to pay attention and continue to focus. That is why they care about those natural movements. So Mazda done an excellent job here, and I tell you what, I've been impressed with the driving impressions here. It is not a sports car, it's a big SUV, but that doesn't mean you should have to sacrifice all things about driving dynamics. And Mazda has been intentional about placing those dynamics and that feel in this vehicle. And that's exciting. So as much as I don't want to quit driving, let's wrap up the driving segment here and let's go talk some details about this particular CX-70. Let's talk about what you can expect from Mazda these days. Now, they have been doing what they call their Kodo design language for over a decade now. And it's beautiful. It's based on curves and less about cuts and edges and seams. And what they mean by Kodo design language is they're looking for the soul of motion in their design. So designing something that somewhat looks as if it's in motion even when it's standing still. But what they do with that is they want to give you that sense of motion while also having sort of a minimalist design approach. So it looks refined, more elegant, more sophisticated, and appears more upscale when you really focus on those curves and thinking about that motion in your design language. All right, let's go over the exterior features here. First off, these 21-inch alloy wheels are very good looking. Some of my favorite wheels I've seen on a vehicle in a long time. I like that machine cut look. Wrapped around those wheels are all-season tires, P275 over 45s, and you also get a hands-free power rear liftgate. You have an auto-dimming side mirror that is also heated and power folding side mirrors. They also tilt when you go in reverse, and they're part of the memory system as well. You get this beautiful honeycomb grille that's this mesh piano black. Makes the front end of this vehicle look really sharp. You have adaptive front lighting system, so you're talking about those headlights that kind of turn with the car when you turn. That's very handy. I've seen that on other Mazdas, and it works very well. You have LED headlights with the auto on-off option, high beam control, aluminum roof rails that are piano black on this vehicle. You also get rain sensing windshield wipers out there and rear privacy glass. So the windows are nice and tinted here on the back. All right, may I present to you the interior of this CX-70. It is absolutely gorgeous. Again, this has the Turbo Premium Plus package, so they have thrown just about everything at this interior, and it is truly exquisite for the cost of this vehicle. So let's go through this here. You have 5 passenger seating. That means you got lots of storage space in the back. There's no third row. You get Napa leather trimmed seats. You also have Alexa that is integrated into the infotainment here. You get heated front seats. You get 8-way power driver seat with lumbar adjustment. You also get an 8-way power front passenger seat. That driver seat has 2 memory positions. You get that heated leather steering wheel. That steering wheel is also power tilt and telescopic with the memory settings. You have 3-zone automatic climate control. That is driver, front passenger, and your passengers in the rear. Second row window sunshades. Those are very handy for helping your little one stay asleep if you've got a car seat back there. Mazda Connected Services is integrated into this infotainment system as well. That infotainment system, as you look at it, is a 12.3 color center display. It is touch. When you're going low speeds or you're stopped. Once you start driving, you're going to have to use that dial there in the middle. Your gauges are also 12.3 inches of an LCD display. You have that active driving display, which is going to be their heads-up display. A good heads-up display is always nice to have, and this one is awesome. You have Mazda's online navigation, if you'd like to use that. You have 12 speakers in here with a Bose system, and it sounds extremely well. Now, fun fact, the subwoofer, Mazda's been doing this in their vehicles. My CX-5 also has this. The subwoofer is integrated into the spare tire in the rear of the vehicle, and I think that's a great way to save space. Not only am I excited that you're getting a spare tire, because a lot of modern vehicles don't offer those anymore, but also putting the subwoofer down in there instead of in the wall somewhere in the back really saves space and adds to your cargo room, so that's excellent. Of course, you have wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, you have a wireless phone charger as well. You have 4 USB inputs. You have Mazda Advanced Keyless Entry. Now, some bonus features, because you've got that Premium Plus package. The rear seats of the vehicle, that second row, are also heated. Man, it's nice to be in the second row and have heated seats. That's awesome. In the very back, you get a 150-volt power outlet. And in your front seats, not only are those heated, they are ventilated. Now, this is a Mazda option that is pretty neat that you also get here. It's called their windshield wiper de-icer. So what that is when you turn on your defrost feature, they have a section of the front windshield where the filament will heat up around your wipers. But this truly is a luxury vehicle with great features that you can get into for around $40,000 to $60,000. And all in all, it feels in this trim level like it could be an $80,000 vehicle with one exception. The doors, they give it away. The action of the shutting of the doors does not feel like that of a high-end luxury vehicle. It's hard to put through video with just sound. You'd have to feel it. These are big doors. They're quite tall, but for some reason, the doors on my brand new Mazda CX-5 that I have at home feel more solid than these do. But overall, the interior of this vehicle is comfortable. They've done an excellent job with materials, high touch spots, and even in the low touch spots. They tastefully have done the two-tone thing around the cabin. You've got these seats. I love the stitching in the seats. It's just a very solid interior. You have a beautiful panoramic sunroof up here, and that always adds to the interior experience. But overall, this CX-70 in particular has an excellent interior for the price of this vehicle, and we were extremely pleased, me and my family, in the week that we spent in this vehicle because the interior was excellent. All right, let's talk about perhaps the most interesting feature about this vehicle, and that is the drivetrain. Now, again, this is the 3.3-liter inline-6 turbo, right? They do offer a PHEV in this vehicle. That's a plug-in hybrid. It's a 4-cylinder with a hybrid system. That is not this. This is the inline-6. Now, it does have a 48-volt system. That's considered a mild hybrid system. You have that 48-volt battery that sits near the transmission, and that does assist in the driving of the vehicle. You can't plug the car in, nothing like that. It recharges itself through regenerative braking, and it assists with the driving experience. And you've got a little bit of added complexity there, but the 3.3-liter inline-6 turbo is the main event here. It does sound extremely good. It does feel extremely smooth. I love the way that this vehicle responds, and that 3.3-liter inline-6 is the heart of this vehicle and the main feature and the main act, and it deserves to be because it's very good. Even with this being Mazda's first go-round with this engine, I do very much think that they've got something excellent here, and it's exciting to drive, and it's going to be interesting to see what they continue to do with this engine in the future. Now, what I want to say here is I'm excited that Mazda has stuck it out with automatic transmissions instead of becoming a slave to the CVT transmission like so many other manufacturers have chosen to do. You still get a good 8-speed automatic transmission in here. They call it a Sky Active Drive 8-speed automatic. You pair this powertrain to the iActive all-wheel drive system. Mazda has a very good all-wheel drive system. You're going to get Mazda's ABS. You have this MyDrive system here, which I've showed you with the switch where you can go between normal mode and you have sport mode, off-road, and towing. You can tow up to 5,000 pounds with this vehicle. You're also going to get hill descent control. But I really want to say that my overall experience with this powertrain has been excellent. Now, this car is new, and it drove great, as you would expect. I do want to say that this inline six really could continue to be something special for Mazda. It's a nice engine. It feels very smooth. It's very good to drive. I love the power delivery of it. The thing I will say about the setup on this car is, again, this is kind of a new thing for Mazda. The CX-70 and the CX-90, they have a bit more of a complex setup here. It feels a little bit more like something you would see from a European car. Things are a little more complex, and when you add complexity, that can change kind of what you get. It can be a mixed bag of what you get for maintenance down the road as these vehicles get older. We don't know that. They have not been out very long. What we do know is we know Mazda's track record. We know Mazda makes vehicles that tend to be very reliable, and they tend to be easier to work on. That is where this may be a little bit of a change or a move in a different direction. Is these vehicles, as they get older, we will see in time, I think they're going to be more complex to work on maintenance-wise. So once you get 5-10 years down the road, they get higher miles on them. The design of these and the way they're put together is more complex. That tends to lead to higher maintenance costs because it's more expensive and more time consuming to get to things. That's all I want to say about that, because that is speculation about the future. What I know now is I have owned many Mazdas. I've driven many Mazdas. Mazda tends to produce cars that are very reliable, and I have been extremely happy with mine. That has been my experience with my Mazdas as well. So I would expect Mazda to continue to provide great service, great reliability moving forward. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with these powertrains. Now, let's talk fuel economy. I had this vehicle for a week. I very much did mixed driving. I had lots of driving around town and in the city, and we also went on a road trip in it. We drove from Kansas City, Missouri, 3 hours south to Branson, Missouri, drove all around Branson for a couple days, and then we drove home on premium gasoline. Again, 340 horsepower, 369 foot-pounds of torque, and incredibly efficient for those power numbers. They rate this vehicle at 23 city and 28 highway. That's 25 combined. I definitely saw the 28 miles to the gallon on the highway, and I definitely saw 23 or better in the city. That is impressive for this powertrain with this kind of power. Again, we have owned SUVs this size, mid-size SUVs in the past with less power, less performance, and never seen fuel efficiency numbers like these. This was great. This was very I was very pleasantly surprised with the good power and the strong engine that this vehicle has, and how much of a joy it was to drive, and how much you could have fun driving this vehicle. And then when you showed up to the gas pump, you realize it was still very efficient. That was awesome. So again, you could get the plug-in hybrid version of this vehicle, but if you don't need to go all the way to that, you, I think, are going to be impressed with the efficiency of this inline six turbo, and we definitely were. Okay, I want to talk about some additional features on this vehicle. First off, the warranty. The initial new vehicle limited warranty is 3 years or 36,000 miles. The powertrain warranty is 5 years or 60,000 miles. And then you have a litany of safety features here, including blind spot monitoring, lane departure warning system. You have a driver monitoring system. That one was trying to get me earlier when it didn't think that I was holding the steering wheel, but I was. I guess I just had really soft hands at that moment. You do have a security system with anti-theft engine immobilizer. This vehicle in particular has the traffic sign recognition, so you drive past the speed limit sign or stop sign, you don't drive past the stop sign, but you stop at a stop sign, whatever, the car reads the signs and knows what's coming, so it'll display a little icon on your digital gauge cluster that tells you, oh, the speed limit where you're at is 35 miles an hour right now, or oh, there's a stop sign coming up. That's an interesting feature that works most of the time. Had the CX-50 not that long ago that had that as well, and it's a cool feature. Sometimes you'll turn from one road onto another road and it doesn't know the speed limit's changed yet, so it doesn't display the right speed limit, but it catches up eventually. You do get a nice 360-degree view with a see-through view option on this higher trim level. So think about when you're in a parking lot and you're driving slow or you're going in reverse. Not only do you get that rear view camera, but it's nice to have that 360 view so you can kind of see everything around you. It makes it easier. They are not a replacement for your own eyeballs, but they are to assist your eyeballs, and they're fantastic when they're done correctly. And the 360 camera on this vehicle is very good. Guys, the safety features here go on and on. You have airbags in the front. You got knee and curtain and side airbags. You've got smart braking system here. You've got cross traffic alert, front and rear, and lane keep assist. Mazda has this radar cruise control, so you set your cruise control. You can kind of adjust how far you want it to keep you from away from the car in front of you. That's another one of those things where I tend to like just traditional cruise control. Sometimes you're getting close to a vehicle and you want to go to pass and it's slowing you down when you want to speed up, and those systems aren't perfect, but if you're using them correctly and you understand how they are working, they can be extremely helpful. A lot of the sensitivity on a lot of the stuff I just talked about is adjustable, so I do appreciate that about Mazda. You can give some of that higher sensitivity or lower sensitivity depending on your driving style. That is great. If they're going to give you all that stuff, it's definitely good to be able to adjust it and personalize it for yourself. Now, I do want to mention before I wrap things up here, the road trip that my family and I went on. I have a family of 4. We had more than adequate space for all of our things in the back of this vehicle. Again, great cargo room. My kids were comfortable in the second row with plenty of room. My wife and I were more than comfortable in the front. Very adequate leg room and hip room. Very nice vehicle to be in for these hilly, curvy roads that are around Table Rock Lake and the Branson area. Really had a great time down there. Now, this is a trip that my family and I go on once a year as we end the summer. It's kind of a family tradition before the kids really get back into school, and we always have a great time down there. Our favorite theme park is Silver Dollar City. This time I want to thank Mazda for those Silver Dollar City accommodations, but this theme park is fantastic for the family. We had a great time, and I even got to ride my favorite roller coaster. All right, everyone, I want to highlight a couple things as we wrap up here on this 2025 CX-70. Now, there are a lot of offerings out there for a mid-size SUV. The reasons that you buy this one are a couple things. Number one, it looks great. I think that the design is going to stand the test of time pretty darn well. If you look at Mazdas made in the last 10 to 15 years especially, they look modern for a long period of time. There's a lot of car brands you can go to that right when they first come out, they look new and very edgy, and they've got all the lines and cuts and edges and everything that we talked about, but in a couple years, they look ancient. This is something where, simplicity can kind of help with that timelessness. And so if you really like the way that this looks, I definitely think that it's a good buy long-term in the looks department. The other thing I will say, if you really, really care about how something drives, about your personal experience from the driver's seat, this is definitely a place that you can find that. So the CX-70 does a couple things for me personally. I think the look is awesome. I think the driving dynamics are great. I've had other passengers along with me, and so they have also helped me to understand that it is a great place to ride in and just be as well. And that matters. If you're buying a vehicle with this many seats, you plan on putting people in there most likely, so it really matters what others think. I will say this, if you're gonna go with the 2-row version here, and you're not gonna go with the CX-90 with the 3 rows, I really think the amount of cargo capacity that you can get in here without that 3rd row, you know, if you're going for this 2-row thing, not only do you not need the extra passenger space above 5 seats, but maybe you're hauling things. Maybe you're loading things up in the back a lot. This is great for that. When you put the middle row down or that 2nd row down and you have the front seats all the way forward, you have almost 100 inches of cargo room from front to back. That is massive, and that is definitely a plus. So think about the other vehicles that this goes up against. Think about the competition. And I want you to see if you can think of something that has this exact formula, and that is it gets a thumbs up in the looks department. It is great to drive. There is no CVT to be found here. You have a great engine with great power that sounds great and a transmission that responds well. If you can find all of those things, plus you get the midsize SUV thing with good space and good tech and comfort and a nice panoramic sunroof and the big wheels and all of those things that you want in a modern vehicle, especially if you want the luxury side of things. But if you can get those first dynamics I talked about all in one package, and you're only looking between 40 and 60 grand here, that's a pretty good buy in my book. Guys, I've really enjoyed my time with the CX-70. I'm so thankful to Mazda for giving me the opportunity to drive this for a while. Had a great time with it. Not only did I enjoy it, my family enjoyed it. Thank you guys for joining me as I've gone in depth with this vehicle here. We also do car comparisons, long-term reviews. We do walk-around reviews at some of the biggest auto shows around. We have so much fun doing this. I want to thank you guys for watching. It truly means a lot. As you can find us on Instagram at DriveItOut. I am on Instagram at Naturally Aspirated Adam. If you search for Naturally Aspirated Adam, you will also find me. Guys, I want to challenge you. What are you going to drive next? I hope that you choose something fun. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next time.